Morning, Mason. This is your Thursday Mason Cable News, and we have 10 more weeks left in the semester. I'm Ashley Hill.
And I'm Desmond Jordan. If you woke up to the outage that hit campus early this morning, power has been restored and classes are back on for noon.
Well, darn, I would have missed my favorite chemistry class. But tragedy hit the nation once again. On Monday, September 16th, a gunman, Aaron Alexis, opened fire at the Washington Navy Yard, killing 13 and injuring 8. Police were suspecting more than one person to have been involved in the rampage, but after thorough investigation, officials are confident that only one gunman was involved, according to the Washington Post. Survivors of this tragedy described their story after having been released from the premise. They described scenarios of terrifying screams, loud noises that resembled large metal desks violently striking the ground, and horrifying scenes of helplessly watching their fellow peers die before their very eyes when they assumed they were safe. As this tragedy hits so close to home, Mason is banding together to provide much-needed support for our fellow patriots. President Angel Cabrera sent out an email on the morning of September 18th giving his regards for those who were impacted. He reminds us all that what makes the Mason community strong is how we come together during difficult times like these and how we can rely on one another for support. The effect of this tragedy rippled across the nation, and the country sympathizes for the loss of these great Americans.
The topic of race is an ongoing debate in America. George Mason School for Conflict Analysis and Resolution, also known as SCAR, held its first Dialogue and Difference Project event last night from 7 to 9 p.m. in Research Hall 1. The discussion was small group based, making it more intimate for participants to share personal stories, ideas, and thoughts on race and identity topics prevalent in their community. Interim Dean of SCAR, Salon Simmons, commenced the event with a message of action and reconsideration of the presence of racial issues in America. Facilitators sat with participating students at each table to monitor and provide input on the discussion topics presented. Students were able to express their opinions and viewpoints on issues otherwise not expressed in everyday conversation. Of the many comments suggested, the idea of George Mason not completely living up to its diversity aspect struck the ears of many. GMU is prized to be one of the most diverse campuses in the country, but yet and still there is a separation among races and ethnicities. This brought about a desire to improve upon this aspect, making diversity a prevalent key in GMU's makeup and possibly core curriculum. There will be more dialogue and different discussions to come, co-sponsored by the Office of Diversity, Inclusion, and Multicultural Education. For more information, visit gmu.edu/dialogueanddifference.
The controversy over marijuana has been an uprising topic for quite some time, but now revisions regarding the drug have come to Mason. According to Fourth Estate, Mason's print and online news source, this past fall semester the student government met to discuss the students' discontent with the harsh repercussions regarding first-time offenders. Those found either using or in possession of marijuana would be permanently removed from housing and removed from Mason for the semester, says Rachel Grimsey, the Senior Attorney General for Mason's student government. Unhappy with these strict verdicts, the student government conjoined with the university offices to discuss a punishment that will please everyone. After discussion, slight changes were made, and now a one-semester suspension will most likely be the standard ruling for first-time offenders, depending on context of the situation.
And we'll be right back with your sports preview for this weekend by Tyler Byram. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Tyler Byram, the sports reporter for Mason Cable News. This Friday, September 20th, your George Mason women's soccer team will face off against the VCU Rams. Despite popular belief, this will not be the first Atlantic 10 conference game of the season, due in part to both Mason and VCU scheduling this game last year before we made the jump to the A10. Both teams head into this matchup at even 500 records, with VCU being 4-4 and Mason being 3-1. Currently, Mason is on a 2-game winning streak and hope to keep the momentum alive with conference play approaching, as VCU hopes to do the same, riding a 3-game win streak. The game, in my opinion, will ultimately come down to whose offense is able to move the ball better. In games where the Patriots were able to move the ball smoothly and effectively, they would normally score first and ride or even build on that lead for the rest of the game. Our defense will also have to make stops and force bad kicks for VCU, as they did against Old Dominion. However, the Rams' offense will be much better than that of the Lady Monarchs, especially since Natalie Moik, who comes into this game with a hat trick against Campbell. This game will be at George Mason Stadium at 7 o'clock this Friday and will also be Mason Athletics' Game of the Week, where all George Mason students attending will receive Mason Spirit glasses. If you cannot attend the game, it will be broadcasted live on Mason Cable Network, Channel 231 on campus, with Tyler Resch and myself as your host. Until next time, for Ashley Hill and Desmond Jordan, I'm Tyler Byram. See you next time, Mason.